Alright, we need to talk about something that's been eating at me for months now. Something that legitimately keeps me up at night. Something that made grown adults cry actual tears of frustration and joy at the same time.
What? What the fuck? What? Bro, he did not just do that!
I'm talking about how Game Freak looked at us, looked at our childhood trauma from Cynthia and said, you know what, let's do it again, but make it 10 times worse. I'm talking about Volo, the blonde merchant who seemed so friendly, so helpful, so trustworthy, and then proceeded to emotionally and psychologically destroy an entire generation of Pokemon players who thought they knew what difficulty meant. And before you click away thinking this is just another glazing video about a hard boss fight, no. This is about how one character managed to take everything we thought we knew about Pokemon battles, about storytelling in Pokemon games, about trust itself, and it completely shattered into a million pieces. This man didn't just beat us in a Pokemon battle, he broke us. He made us question our entire existence as trainers when we lost to his 8 Pokemon team. He made us relive the Cynthia nightmare, but cranked that up to 11 with a side of betrayal. Let me paint you the picture, because it has been like 3 years since Legends came out. It's early 2022. Pokémon Legends Arceus just dropped. Everyone's having a great time catching Pokemon in this new open-world style gameplay. We're rolling around Hisui, which is just ancient Sinnoh, because this is something refreshing, because we can dodge roll and throw Pokeballs like we're playing Dark Souls or something. And yeah, it is definitely Game Freak's best game ever created. The game's different, fresh. And then there's this merchant guy, Volo, who keeps showing up to help us out. Sells us items, gives us tips, seems genuinely interested in our progress. Here's where Game Freak played it as like a fiddle. They knew that we all had PTSD from Cynthia. That piano music still haunts our dreams. Those of us who played Diamond and Pearl back in the early 2000s, we remember walking into that champion room completely unprepared for the absolute beatdown that was about to happen. Volo is Cynthia's ancestor. And I don't mean that in like some cute Easter egg way where they just look similar. This man has her entire team. But wait, there's more. Not only does he have Cynthia's team, not only does he ambush you at the top of Mount Coronet when you think you're about to meet Arceus and complete the game, not only does he reveal he's been manipulating you the entire time, and he's actually completely insane, and wants to destroy the world to meet Arceus, this absolute madman has 7 Pokemon. 7? That. He had 8 Pokemons. Let me repeat that for those people in the back. 8 motherfucking Pokemon. Entire history of Pokemon games, no trainer has ever had more than 6 Pokemon in a single battle. It's literally the rule, 6 Pokemon max. That's been the law since 1996 when Red and Blue came out. But Volo? Volo said screw your rules, screw your expectations, screw your mental health. Now I'm bringing 7 Pokemon to this fight and you're gonna deal with it. But actually it's worse than 7. Because his 7th Pokemon isn't just any Pokemon. It's the f***ing devil. The Satan of the Pokemon world. The banished god, the ruler of the distortion world. It's not the regular Giratina. After you beat it once, thinking you finally won this absolute marathon of a battle, it transforms into its origin form and fully heals. So technically, you're fighting 8 Pokemon. You're 6 Pokemon against his 8. This is after you've already climbed all the way up Mount Coronet, probably used some items, and then maybe your team isn't at full health. There's no Pokemon Center at the top of the mountain. There's no warning. There's just pain. Let me break down his team for you so you could understand the level of psychological warfare this man was conducting. He starts with Spiritomb. It's bulky. It's annoying. It sets the tone that this isn't going to be easy. I had literally war flashbacks from Cynthia. Then comes Roserade with Poison, Jab, and Petal Dance, hitting like a truck with those attack stats. Hisuian Arcanine rolls up with Raging Fury, a new move that's basically just Outrage but fire type, dealing massive damage while locking itself in. Lucario with Aura Sphere and Bullet Punch, getting that steel type coverage. Garchomp, because of course Garchomp, with Dragon Claw and Earth Power, the same monster that traumatized us 15 years ago. Then Togekiss. This damn Togekiss. Air Slash with Serene Grace ability means 60% flinch chance. 60%. You literally might never get to move. Your Pokemon just stands there getting flinched to death while you scream at your Switch. It's not even about strategy at that point. It's about whether the RNG gods have decided you're worthy of attacking today. But the real kicker, the thing that makes this fight truly special in the most traumatic way possible, is that you have to beat all 6 of these Pokemon and then beat Giratina in its altered form. And then when you think you've won, when you think you can finally breathe, when you think the nightmare is over, that health bar fills back up. Giratina changes into its origin form with its signature move, Shadow Force, and you have to beat it again. No healing between phases, no checkpoint. If you lose to Origin form Giratina after beating 7.5 Pokemon, you start the entire battle over, from Spirit Home, from the beginning. The first time I fought Volo, I went in blind. I had no idea what was coming. I'm strolling up Mount Coronet thinking I'm about to have a nice conversation with the god of Pokemon. Maybe catch the god of all the Pokemon, credits roll, good times. I see Volo there and I'm like, oh cool, my merchant buddy made it to the top 2. Maybe he wants to see Arceus as well. We've been through so much together, solving mysteries, helping people. He's been so supportive. Then this man starts talking. And the more he talks, the more you realize something's very, very wrong. He starts going on about how the world isn't perfect, how it needs to be destroyed and remade, how he's been using you this entire time to collect the plates so he can meet the god of Pokemon. The friendly merchant mask completely drops and you see him for what he really is, a nihilistic lunatic who's been playing 4D dimensional chess with your naive protagonist's soul this entire time. The betrayal hits different because unlike other Pokemon villains who are obviously evil from the start, Giovanni looks like a mob boss, Cyrus has the emotional range of a brick, Ghetsis literally kicks Pokemon. Volo was our friend. He helped us. He gave us items. He showed up when we needed him. He seemed genuinely excited about our adventures. Every single interaction was carefully calculated manipulation, and we fell for it. Then the battle starts. And immediately you know something's wrong because the music—
Hold up! Wait a minute! Something ain't right!
Oh god, the music. It starts with Volo's theme, this intense orchestral piece that already has you sweating. But then, when you get to Pokemon number 5 or 6, it happens. The piano starts. That piano. Cynthia's piano. The same melody that haunted our childhood starts playing, but remixed into this epic orchestral arrangement that basically screams you're about to get destroyed and there's nothing you can do about it.
Peter said I do! Goodbye, Giratina! Ha! 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 He's going to another form! No! I'm dying! No, my God, I'm dying! I'm dying! I'm dying!
My team when I first fought him was not ready. I had my starter, Hisuian Typhlosion, who I thought was pretty strong. And I had a Luxray because electric types are cool. I had a Garchomp of my own because I thought I was being clever. I had a Hisuian Zoroark, a Hisuian Braviary, and a Togekiss of my own. This team got absolutely demolished. Not just beaten, demolished. Humiliated, embarrassed. Sent back to the 1800s where they belong. Spiritomb took out 2 of my Pokemon by itself because I couldn't hit it for super effective damage. And I just kept using Dark Pulse and Will-O-Wisp. By the time I got to Garchomp, I had maybe 3 Pokemon left at half health. His Garchomp outsped mine and one-shot it with Dragon Claw. The disrespect. Using my own ace against me and doing it better. Then Togekiss happened and I literally didn't get to attack for 4 turns straight. Just flinch after flinch after flinch while my Pokemon slowly died, and I contemplated throwing my Switch out the window. But I'm stubborn. I'm a Pokemon veteran. I've been playing these games since Red and Blue. I wasn't gonna let some merchant with good hair and bad intentions beat me, so I grinded. I trained. I built a whole new team specifically to counter Volo, and even then, it took me 7 tries. 7. And I know people who took way more than that. The thing about Volo's fight is that it's not just hard, it's smart. His Pokemon have coverage moves for their weaknesses. His Roserade has Poison Jab for Fairy types. His Lucario has Crunch for Psychic types. His Garchomp has Iron Head for Ice types. You can't just sweep with one overpowered Pokemon like you usually can in these games. You need an actual strategy, proper type coverage, good switching predictions. And even then, you need luck with the Togekiss, flinches and critical hits. And the stats on these Pokemon are insane. We're talking competitive level stats here. His Garchomp has maximum attack and speed. His Togekiss boosted special attack. His Lucario is running a mixed set with both physical and special moves. This isn't some random trainer with random Pokemon. This is basically fighting a competitive Pokemon player if competitive Pokemon players could bring 7 Pokemon and also had the literal devil as their ace. The community reaction to Volo is absolutely incredible. Reddit exploded, Twitter lost its mind, Discord servers turned into support groups for Volo survivors. People were sharing strategies, team compositions, item setups, anything to help others beat this monster. There were memes everywhere. That picture of Volo smiling innocently next to images of players crying became the template of the year. The developers knew exactly what they were doing. In interviews after the game came out, they basically admitted they wanted to create a battle that would challenge even veteran players. They wanted something memorable, something that would stick with players long after they finished the game. Well, congratulations, Game Freak, you succeeded. I still wake up in cold sweats hearing that piano music transition. What makes Volo even more memorable is his character design and presence throughout the game. This man looks like he stepped out of a fashion magazine. The blonde hair, the outfit that's somehow both merchant appropriate and battle ready, that smirk that in hindsight was definitely evil, but we all thought was just friendly. His backstory is actually tragic when you think about it. This man has been alive for who knows how long, studying history and mythology, trying to understand why the world is the way it is. He's seen the worst of humanity, the conflicts, the pain, the suffering. And his solution? Burn it all down and start over. He's basically Pokemon's version of Thanos, but with better hair and a merchant license. The guy literally manipulated space and time, caused rifts in reality, endangered an entire region, all because he had an existential crisis, and decided the only solution was to meet God and demand a do-over. But here's what really gets me. Volo represents something deeper in Pokemon's storytelling evolution. He's not just a hard boss fight. He's the culmination of 25 years of Pokemon letting us think we know what to expect, then pulling the rug out from under us. Every rule we thought was sacred. 6 Pokemon per battle. Merchants are helpful NPCs. The evil team leader is the final boss. Volo breaks all of them. He's Pokemon's way of saying you're not kids anymore, and we're not going to treat you like kids. The aftermath of the Volo fight is something else too. After you finally beat him, and I mean finally beat him after probably dozens of attempts, he doesn't get arrested or repent or join your side. No, this man just gives you the last plate you need, drops some ominous dialogue about how he'll keep trying to meet Arceus no matter how long it takes, and then just leaves. Peace out. See you never. Or maybe see you in another 1,000 years when he tries to destroy the world again? Who knows? The man is immortal or something, and he's got nothing but time and trauma to distribute. Players started making connections between Volo and Cynthia that went beyond just the ancestor thing. Theory videos popped up everywhere. Is Cynthia so interested in mythology because of inherited memories from Volo? Is her strength in battle a genetic memory from her psychotic ancestor? Does she know about Volo? Some people even started feeling bad for Cynthia. Like, imagine finding out your great whatever grandfather was a nihilistic merchant who tried to destroy the world. The speedrunning community had a field day with this fight. Watching speedrunners try to optimize the Volo battle is like watching someone try to speedrun a hurricane. There's only so much you can control when Togeki's decides today is Flinch Day. The RNG manipulation strategies people came up with were insane. Some runners literally started tracking the game's random number generator frame by frame to predict when they could attack without getting flinched. And can we talk about how this fight made people actually use items in a Pokemon game? Usually we're all hoarding max revives and full restores like they're made of gold, saving them for some hypothetical future battle that never comes. But Volo made us use everything. Max revives, full restores, X items for stat boosts, even those random berries we picked up and forgot about. People were crafting battle strategies around item usage for the first time since Pokemon Stadium on the N64. The psychological impact of the Volo fight extends beyond just the difficulty. It changed how we approach Pokemon games. Now when we meet a friendly NPC who's a little too helpful, a little too interested in our progress, we're suspicious. We've got trust issues. Every merchant, every recurring character, every person who shows up at convenient times, they could be the next Volo. But for those of us who persevered, who suffered through attempt after attempt, who learned every one of his Pokemon's movesets by heart because we've seen them so many times, beating Volos is one of the greatest feelings in gaming. It's proof that you can overcome anything with enough determination and probably an unhealthy amount of stubbornness. That victory screen after Origin form Giratina finally falls doesn't just say you won, it says you survived. The crazy thing is, Volo made us better Pokemon players. Before Volo, most of us were just using our favorites, not thinking about team composition or type coverage that much. After Volo, we're all suddenly competitive strategists. We're breeding for perfect stats. We're planning movesets like we're about to enter the World Championships. This one battle turned casual players into hardcore trainers because we had no choice. Adapt or die, and dying meant starting that entire 8 Pokemon gauntlet over again. Let's talk about that Giratina for a second, because it deserves its own discussion. This isn't just any legendary Pokemon, this is the Pokemon that was too violent for the normal world. The Pokemon that God himself had to banish to another dimension. And Volo just has it, controls it, commands it to fight you, twice. The lore implications are staggering. This merchant somehow made a deal with or controlled the Pokemon equivalent of Lucifer, and he uses it as his ace. The disrespect, the audacity, the sheer power move energy. Origin form Giratina with Shadow Force is something else entirely. Shadow Force is a 2-turn move where Giratina disappears on the first turn, becomes invulnerable to attacks, and then strikes on the second turn with a base 120 power ghost move that breaks through Protect. You literally cannot hit it on that first turn. It's just gone. And you're sitting there sweating, knowing that next turn something on your team is about to get deleted from existence. The psychological warfare of watching that HP bar and planning your next move, knowing it might not matter, because Shadow Force ignores so many defensive options. The music during the Giratina phase deserves an award. It's this perfect blend of terrifying and epic. You've got the dramatic orchestra, choir that sounds like they're singing your funeral, and underneath it all, hints of that Cynthia piano motif reminding you that this is your inherited trauma made manifest. The composers knew exactly what emotional buttons to push. They wanted you to feel the weight of this moment, the culmination of everything, the final test of whether you're worthy of meeting Arceus. Can we acknowledge how Volo's entire plan was actually pretty solid? Like, obviously trying to destroy the world is bad, but his methodology was smart. He couldn't challenge Arceus directly, so he manipulated events to create the space-time rifts, which brought you from the future, knowing you'd be capable enough to gather the plates, but naive enough to trust him. He played a long game that spanned dimensions and timelines. That's not just villain behavior, that's advanced villain behavior. This man was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. The best part about Volo is that he's not even sorry. After you beat him, after you crush his dreams of meeting Arceus and remaking the world, he doesn't apologize. He doesn't see the error of his ways. He basically says, "Good game, I'll try again later," and dips. The man has conviction. Insane, world-ending conviction, but conviction nonetheless. You've got to respect the commitment to the bit, even if the bit is omnicide. Players started coming up with specific counter-strategies that became legendary in the community. The Cresselia tank strat, where you just use Cresselia with Moonblast and Recover to slowly chip away at his team. The Blissey Toxic Stall approach that made battles take 45 minutes but guaranteed victory. The Alpha Pokemon Brute Force method, where you just threw over-leveled Alpha Pokemon at him until something stuck. Every strategy had its own cult following, its own guide videos, its own discussion threads. The memes that came out of Volo were top tier. That image of him standing innocently with text like, "I'm just a humble merchant," next to a picture of him commanding Giratina. The videos of people's first reactions to the 7 Pokemon reveal are comedy gold. Grown adults just shouting, seven Pokemon at their screens. What really sticks with me is how Volo changed the conversations around Pokemon difficulty. For years, people complained that Pokemon games are too easy, made for kids, no challenge for veteran players. Then Game Freak said, "Bet, here's Volo, enjoy your suffering." And suddenly, everyone remembered that maybe Pokemon games being accessible wasn't such a bad thing. Volo is proof that Game Freak can make challenging content when they want to. They just usually choose not to, maybe because they value our mental health. Usually. Now, every Pokemon game that comes out, players are looking for the Volo. Who's going to be the secret super boss? Who's going to betray us? Which friendly NPC is actually a psychopath waiting to reveal their true nature? Nemona and Scarlet and Violet being aggressively friendly and obsessed with battling had everyone suspicious. People were making theory videos about how she was going to be the next Volo before the games even came out. That's the lasting impact. Permanent trust issues with helpful NPCs. Some players have turned beating Volo into a challenge run thing. Beat Volo with only certain types. Beat Volo with no items. Beat Volo with unevolved Pokemon. Beat Volo blindfolded, apparently. Because some people just don't value their sanity. These challenge runs have become their own subcategory of Pokemon content. Volo has never appeared in any other Pokemon media as criminal. No anime appearance, no manga spotlight, no Pokemon Masters event. This man deserves more recognition for the pure chaos he brought to our lives. Imagine an anime arc where Ash meets Volo, the trauma that would inflict on a whole new generation. Though honestly, Ash would probably beat him with the power of friendship and a severely underleveled Pikachu, because anime logic doesn't care about your game mechanics. Looking back, Volo represents a turning point in Pokemon storytelling. He proved that Pokemon could do complex villains with believable motivations beyond just, "I want to rule the world because of the evil." His philosophy, while extreme, makes sense from his perspective. He's seen centuries of human suffering and concluded the system is broken beyond repair. His solution is wrong, but his diagnosis isn't entirely incorrect. That's what makes him compelling. He's not wrong about the problems, just catastrophically wrong about the solution. The attention to detail in the Volo fight is incredible too. The way his Pokemon's moves perfectly counter common strategies. How Spiritomb being first means you can't just rely on fighting types to sweep. How Garchomp near the end punishes you for using all your resources early. And then Giratina as the finale, when you're exhausted and running on fumes. It's perfectly orchestrated difficulty, designed to push you to your absolute limit, and then beyond. I remember finally beating him after my 7th attempt. My hands were literally shaking. My Hisuian Good Draw was at 12 HP. One more hit from anything would have ended it all. But Shadow Force missed. It actually missed. The 5% chance to miss, and it happened when I needed it most. The scream I let out when that final Shadow Ball connected. My neighbors definitely thought someone was being murdered. And in a way, someone was. The innocent, trusting Pokemon trainer I used to be. The aftermath of beating Volo is almost anticlimactic. You meet Arceus, catch it with surprising ease considering it's literally God, and the game just ends. Credits roll. You're left sitting there, emotionally drained, wondering if what you just experienced was real. Did that really happen? Did a Pokemon merchant really just put you through the digital equivalent of military boot camp? The whiplash from intense battle to a peaceful ending is jarring, but that's also genius game design. After the storm that is Volo, you need that calm, you need that peaceful resolution. Meeting Arceus feels earned because you literally went through hell to get there. You faced down someone who wanted to destroy existence itself, armed with Satan Pokemon and the power of RNG flinch abuse. If that doesn't qualify you to meet God, I don't know what does. The legacy of Volo will last forever in Pokemon history. Years from now, when Pokemon is on its 15th generation, and we're playing on whatever comes after the Switch, veteran players will still remember Volo. We'll tell younger players about the time before Volo, when we were innocent and trusting. We'll share war stories about our attempts, our failed strategies, our eventual victories. And honestly, thank you, Game Freak. Thank you for giving us Volo. Thank you for not holding back. Thank you for saying, you want difficult? Here's your difficulty. Choke on it. Thank you for creating a villain so memorable, so challenging, so perfectly designed that we'll never forget him. Thank you for the trust issues, the PTSD, the nights spent grinding levels just to stand a chance. Thank you for proving that Pokemon can still surprise us, still challenge us, still make us feel something intense after all these years. So if you're watching this and you haven't played Legends Arceus yet, first of all, what are you doing? Go play it. But also, when you meet a friendly merchant named Volo, who seems really helpful and interested in your adventure, prepare yourself. Train your Pokemon, stock up on items, maybe see a therapist preemptively, because that man is about to put you through an experience that will fundamentally change how you see Pokemon games forever. And for those of you who've been through it, who've stood at the summit of Mount Coronet and faced down the nightmare that is Volo and his 8 Pokemon of Doom, you know the pain, the struggle, the sweet victory after countless defeats. We are the Volo survivors. We are the traumatized generation, and we wouldn't have it any other way. Because at the end of the day, that's what gaming is about. Those moments that stick with you, those challenges that they'll seem impossible until suddenly they're not. Those villains that make you genuinely emotional because they played you so perfectly. Volo is all of that and more. He's peak Pokemon villain designed. He's difficulty done right. He's the reason we have trust issues with every merchant in every game now. So smash that like button if Volo hurt you emotionally and physically. Subscribe if you're still recovering from the trauma. And comment down below with your Volo horror stories because misery loves company and we all need group therapy after what that man put us through. This has been your regularly scheduled rant about how one fictional merchant with a perfect hair and a god complex managed to traumatize an entire generation of Pokemon players. Again, because apparently we didn't learn our lesson with Cynthia the first time. Peace out, fellow survivors.